The Fireball is one of the best hero equipment that you can use for 3 stars, and while it can be niche to Warden walks, the attacks that use it are far from weak. So we'll break down the very basics of the Fireball equipment, the ways that you can use it, and even the different strategies you can pair with it to 3-star almost every base you see. So what is the Fireball equipment and how does it work? Well, the Fireball is an epic equipment that is, like most epics, a damage focused ability. You can currently get it from the trader for 1500 gems if you missed out on the Super Dragon Spotlight event back in March. This piece of equipment will do massive damage to anything within a set AoE. As you upgrade it though, it will increase its amount of damage, and every 9 levels from level 1, it will increase its radius by 1 tile. Keep in mind that you also get a nice DPS increase as your hero boost, which is stronger than the life gems, and it has the potential to remove the defensive CC troops and some heroes if they are within the Fireball's AoE at higher levels. Now, the level of your Fireball is another very important thing you need to keep in mind. The minimum level that you need your Fireball to be at is around level 18, as it will allow you to use 1 to 2 earthquakes depending on your town hall level. So at level 18, these are the defenses that it can one-shot without using an earthquake. Here are the defenses it can get with 1 earthquake, and here are the defenses it needs for 2 earthquakes. For comparison, these are the defenses it can one-shot at max level of 27. Here are the defenses it can one-shot with 1 quake, and here are the defenses needed to get one-shotted by 2 earthquakes. In terms of the Fireball's range or AoE, it's important to know what happens if the Fireball lands on a 2x2, 3x3, or 4x4 defense. If your Fireball lands on a 2x2 defense, then this is what the AoE is going to get you. In this case, it will remove buildings 4 tiles away on the side and 3 tiles away diagonally. If it lands on a 3x3 building, this is what it's going to get you, which would be 4 tiles away on the side, but only 2 tiles away diagonally. So keep that in mind. And then as for a 4x4 building, such as the Town Hall or Eagle, you can only hit things 3 tiles away on the side and 2 tiles away diagonally. This should give you an idea though on how the Fireball works and what you need to know before moving on. Now that you know how the Fireball works, let's go through how you can actually manipulate its pathing. Since the Fireball locks onto the next closest defense, you might want to control exactly where the Fireball goes, and you have 2 spells that can very easily do this: Invisibility and Overgrowth. Invisibility spells are often what you always want to use, considering that invisible buildings still take damage. The biggest mistake people often make is if they're using the Fireball with the invisibility spells, there's a chance that you use the ability too early when the invisibility spell is turning a building invisible, resulting in the Fireball getting less than stellar value. This is why you want to hold onto your Warden's Fireball for a little bit until you are sure the defenses you use them on have turned invisible. However, you've also got the Overgrowth Spell. This is less common and not as practical due to the inability to damage defenses. However, you can still use this to reach the core. Often, you want to use 2 of them in an area of low DPS, which includes an unactivated Eagle or multi-target Infernos, which this will allow you to reach the core of the base. This should allow you to get high value off the base if it has it. It not only can clear huge value, but can also allow your Warden to safely clear the low DPS area and get a massive chunk of the base gone. So before getting into how you can use the Fireball, what is the best equipment to pair with the Fireball? Well, it should be really easy. The Rage Gem is currently the best option that pairs well with it. Not only is it consistent, but it can often work really well in most situations the Fireball is ideal in. Now let's actually talk about using the Fireball and the steps that you need to do in order to succeed. First, you need to start a Warden walk by placing in your Warden with 5 healers. This should be used out of range of defenses so your Warden isn't forced to an early ability. While he is walking, use any funneling troops to speed him up, but you might also want to try to take down any defenses with him in the process. From there, you'll need to use your invisibility spells. Usually bringing in 2 to 3 invisibility spells is what I would recommend for this. From here, with your invisibility spells, use them over defenses that are close by to your Warden, and once each is invisible and you know that they are, you can use your fireball to rain havoc in the set area that you wanted it to land. Pair this up with 1 to 2 earthquake spells and you will be able to clear out a large area unless it's the town hall or the eagle artillery. If you're running the overgrowth spells instead of the invisibility, you'll often find that it is a little bit more base specific to use them, but it's still very easy to understand. So first, you typically want to do your Warden walk. Be sure he's anchored though in a spot that you don't want him to move from. From there, you're going to use 2 overgrowths to cover a wide area of low DPS defenses, making it possible for the next closest building to be in the core. Now you can send your fireball into the core like it's nothing with 1 to 2 earthquake spells to seal the deal. This allows you to take care of the low DPS area after the overgrowth expires. Those are the basic steps though that you're going to need in order to use the fireball with either the invisibility spells or the overgrowth. Keep in mind that you want a compact base for the most part, but usually any base has some sort of fireball value. Now let's talk all about the niche yet super strong attack strategies you can run with the fireball. And the good news is all of these can be used starting all the way at Town Hall 12. So let's first show you how to get value with the fireball versus a group of defenses in something like a Super Witch attack. So when you're going up against a group of defenses, try to make sure that you're able to clear a couple of defense targeting buildings early. With the Warden walk here in something like Super Witches, we want to clear out a couple defenses, then we want to use an invisibility on 2 groups, then send in the fireball with an earthquake spell. The fireball and the earthquake is going to do massive damage to everything around it, allowing you to have a lot more movement. In terms of pairing this with Super Witches though, this is gonna set a massive funnel. This is going to allow your Super Witches to enter into the base without any sort of issues. Since the Super Witches really don't need the Eternal Tome to be effective, this allows you to start working into the base extremely easy, regardless of your Town Hall level. Being able to jump throughout the base, having your king in there, maybe with the spiky ball or the rage vial with the gauntlet, and of course the rage spells to keep everything moving through. If you have a leftover invisibility, you can always use it on your heroes or some of your big boys to really retarget anything like single infernos if you're able to place it correctly. Otherwise, Super Witches completely dominate with the fireball since it just pairs extremely well with them in almost every situation. Now let's show you how you can hit a ring style design with the fireball in something like a hero dive attack. So this is a good look for a anti 2-star design where the town hall's smack dab in the center. You do want to make sure that you are letting your Warden walk. So try to find a nice spot in order to send him in to clear out a good amount of defenses. Remember, the biggest thing here is you could bring in the use of rocket balloons to help with this, but if you're not doing so, you need to let your Warden kind of clear out as many buildings. Then use your invisibilities, maybe 1 in the core, and use your fireball with 1 to 2 earthquake spells. In this case, we used a level 18 fireball, so that means that we needed 2 earthquake spells. But for the most part, we still got massive value. In this situation, because the Warden cleared out so many key defenses, he is able to stay alive and walk on his own. Meaning that on the other side, we could use the siege barrack and the heroes to work into the base. Since this uses the Ice Golem, and Electro Titan, it's able to have so much tankage and so many troops on the field that you're able to easily get through the core, which then allows you to use a back-end Royal Champion and very easily 3-star with something like this. The Fireball is really the only difficult part, and then otherwise, after that, you have a lot of power with all the troops that you have left up and the Warden that you might still have left up thanks to the Fireball, making this an incredibly powerful combo that is really difficult to stop, especially at higher Town Hall levels. And lastly, let's show you how to hit an anti 3-star base with the Fireball for the most value within a Rocket Loon attack. Now, if you're seeing a lot of anti-3s, they can be fairly difficult to get value from, but usually the Town Hall is gonna have a lot of value for the Fireball since you have to protect it. Using things like Super Barbarians or Rocket Balloons are perfect to snipe off key defenses, making it really easy for you. You do want to activate the Town Hall in this situation, where you can then use your Invisibility Spells over defenses and use the Fireball to nuke everything around that Town Hall. This does also allow you to 1v1 the Town Hall in this situation, which then allows you to pretty much send the rest of your attack. In something like Rocket Balloons, it's really important to get your heroes to go in the right direction and keep them all in the base to power through. Even if this means that you do have to deal with the enemy CC, you can very easily do so. Other than this, it's very similar to the hero dive attack, where your heroes are the main bulk of this. So even if your king and queen work themselves kind of apart from each other, you should still have more than enough tankage and more than enough damage from anything like the Siege Barrack P.E.K.K.A.s, your king, and of course any other tanks that you brought with you to move deeper into the base. Having jump spells and rage spells to help power through is always really helpful, and having the rocket balloons to snipe off defenses is always incredibly helpful. Of course, you've got that back end Royal Champion, which should help you quite a bit towards the back end, and any leftover spells are very easily going to overwhelm the back end, especially if you have them with the Royal Champion. Otherwise, this is a really powerful army, and even against the other type of designs, anti-3s cannot stop the Fireball. Now, hopefully this gives you an idea of the Fireball and gives you some great choices that you can use in your next attacks. Of course, if you like something different that isn't tied to the Warden, look no further than my Queen Charge guide if you are wanting to master an entirely different strategy.